Hello and welcome to another gentle journey through the mysteries of existence. I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're settling into bed, finding a quiet moment in your day, or simply letting your mind wander into the deeper questions that make us human. Tonight we're going to explore something that might fundamentally challenge how you think about time itself. Picture this. Right now, as you listen to these words, somewhere in the universe, your childhood self might still be blowing out birthday candles. Your future self might already be experiencing moments you haven't lived yet. And the conversation you had yesterday, it could still be happening, just as real and present as this very moment. This isn't science fiction or philosophical speculation. It's a possibility that emerges from our best understanding of physics, time, and the nature of reality itself. The past might still be happening, and you'd never know. Before we begin this exploration, I want you to take a gentle breath with me. Notice how natural it feels to think of time as flowing like a river, carrying us from past to future. Hold on to that feeling, because we're about to discover that this intuition, as comforting as it is, might be one of the most beautiful illusions our minds create. Let's start with something you experience every single day without thinking about it. When you look up at the night sky and see a star twinkling in the distance, you're not seeing that star as it exists right now. You're seeing it as it was years, decades, or even centuries ago. The light you're observing began its journey toward your eyes long before you were born, carrying with it the image of a past moment frozen in time. This isn't just a poetic way of thinking about starlight, it's a fundamental truth about how information travels through the universe. Nothing, not even light itself, can move instantaneously from one place to another. There's always a delay, always a gap between when something happens and when we can observe it happening. Now here's where things get interesting. If you were somehow able to travel to that distant star instantaneously, you would find it in a completely different state than what you observed from Earth. The star you saw twinkling might now be a supernova, or it might have settled into the quiet old age of a red giant. Which version is real? Which version is happening now? This question leads us into one of the most profound puzzles in all of physics, the nature of simultaneity. When we say two events happen at the same time, we're making an assumption that feels completely natural. If you clap your hands while your friend across the room snaps their fingers, and you both see each other's actions at the same moment, it seems obvious that these events were simultaneous. But Einstein's theory of relativity reveals something startling about this everyday assumption. There is no universal now. There is no cosmic clock ticking away the same moments for everyone, everywhere in the universe. What counts as simultaneous depends entirely on how fast you're moving and where you're located in space and time. Imagine you're sitting on a train, moving at an incredibly high speed, close to the speed of light. Your friend is standing on the platform as you pass by. At the exact moment you pass each other, two lightning bolts strike the train tracks, one ahead of the train and one behind it. From your friend's perspective on the platform, both lightning strikes happen at exactly the same time. They're simultaneous, but from your perspective on the moving train, something different happens. You see the lightning strike ahead of the train before you see the one behind it. The events that were simultaneous for your friend are no longer simultaneous for you. Neither of you is wrong. Neither of you is confused or mistaken. You're both observing the same physical events, but you're experiencing them in different orders because you're moving through space-time differently. This isn't just a thought experiment. This is how the universe actually works. The faster you move through space, the more dramatically your experience of time differs from someone who's moving more slowly. And this difference isn't just about perception or the mechanics of observation. According to our best understanding of physics, both experiences are equally valid descriptions of reality. As you absorb this idea, notice how it might challenge your sense of what's real and what's happening now. Take a moment to consider that somewhere in the universe, an observer moving at a different speed than you might consider events from your past or your future to be happening right now, in their present moment. This leads us to a concept that physicists call the block universe. Imagine all of time, from the beginning of the universe to its end, existing simultaneously, like a vast four-dimensional sculpture. In this sculpture, every moment that ever was or ever will be exists with equal reality. Your birth, your childhood, this very moment of listening, and even your eventual death are all equally real, equally present, just located at different coordinates in the block of space-time. From our everyday perspective, we seem to move through this block moment by moment, like reading a book page by page. But the block universe theory suggests that this movement, this sense of flowing from past to future, might be an illusion created by our consciousness. The pages of the book all exist simultaneously. We just happen to experience them in a particular order. This might sound abstract, but it has concrete implications for how we think about existence itself. In the block universe, nothing ever truly ceases to exist. The dinosaurs aren't gone. They're simply located at different coordinates in space-time than we are. Your childhood pet, your grandmother who passed away, the version of yourself from 10 years ago, they're all still there, still real, still happening in their particular slice of the eternal now. Consider what this means for the conversation you had with a friend yesterday. In the block universe view, that conversation is still taking place. It exists as a permanent feature of space-time, just as real and present as any conversation happening right now. The laughter you shared, the words you spoke, the emotions you felt, they're all preserved forever in the structure of reality itself. But here's where the mystery deepens even further. If all of time exists simultaneously, if the past and future are as real as the present, then what determines the order in which we experience events? Why do we remember the past but not the future? Why does cause seem to precede effect? These questions lead us into some of the strangest territory in modern physics. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that the future might actually influence the past in ways we're only beginning to understand. In certain quantum experiments, decisions made by researchers after particles have already been detected seem to retroactively determine how those particles behaved earlier in the experiment. This phenomenon, known as retrocausality, challenges our most basic assumptions about cause and effect. It suggests that the universe might not be the clockwork mechanism we once imagined, where past events determine future outcomes in a neat, linear fashion. Instead, it might be a web of interconnections where future events can reach backward in time to influence their own causes. Now, I want to be clear that this remains a speculative interpretation, not a proven scientific fact. The quantum world is notoriously difficult to interpret, and scientists continue to debate what these experiments really tell us about the nature of reality. But the possibility alone is breathtaking. It suggests that the past might not be as fixed and immutable as we assume. As you sit with these ideas, notice how they might change your relationship to memory and anticipation. If the past is still happening somewhere in the block universe, then your memories aren't just faded copies of dead events. They're connections to moments that continue to exist with full reality. And if the future already exists in some sense, then your dreams and plans aren't just imaginings of what might be. They're glimpses of what already is, waiting for you to arrive at their coordinates in space-time. This brings us to perhaps the most profound question of all. What is consciousness doing in a block universe? If all moments exist equally, why do we have this particular experience of moving through time? Why do we feel like we're traveling from past to future rather than experiencing all moments simultaneously? Some physicists and philosophers suggest that consciousness itself might be the key to understanding time. Perhaps our awareness is what creates the illusion of temporal flow, like a flashlight beam moving across a landscape in the dark. The landscape is always there in its entirety, but we can only see the small portion illuminated by our conscious attention. Others propose that consciousness might actually play a more fundamental role in the structure of time itself. This remains highly speculative, but some interpretations suggest that conscious observation might be involved in determining which slice of the block universe becomes real for any particular observer. In this view, reality isn't just a four-dimensional sculpture waiting to be discovered. It's an ongoing collaboration between the physical structure of space-time and the conscious beings who observe it. Take a gentle breath and consider how these ideas might appear in your own life. When you remember a moment from your childhood, are you accessing a dead recording of the past, or are you somehow connecting with a moment that still exists in the eternal structure of space-time? When you feel nostalgia or regret, are you mourning something that's gone forever? Or are you sensing the continued reality of moments that exist outside the flow of time? These aren't just abstract philosophical questions. They touch on some of the deepest aspects of human experience. Our sense of loss when someone dies, our joy in remembering happy times, our anxiety about the future. All of these emotions might be based on assumptions about time that physics suggests are incomplete. If the block universe theory is correct, then death might not be the absolute ending we imagine it to be. The moments of life, consciousness, love, and connection would continue to exist in their proper places in space-time, as real and present as they ever were. This doesn't necessarily mean that consciousness survives death in any traditional sense, but it might mean that the reality of lived experience is more permanent than we typically assume. Similarly, our regrets about the past might be based on a misunderstanding of what the past actually is. If yesterday's mistakes are still happening in their slice of space-time, but so are yesterday's moments of joy and connection, then perhaps our relationship to memory could be more about appreciation than judgment. Every moment you've lived continues to exist in the vast sculpture of space-time, contributing its own unique texture to the overall pattern of your existence. The future too takes on a different character in this view. If tomorrow already exists in some sense, then your anxieties about what might happen are concerns about events that, in the block universe view, have already taken place. This doesn't mean that your choices don't matter, but it might mean that the future you're worried about is as fixed and real as the past you remember. As we delve deeper into these mysteries, we find ourselves confronting questions that science alone might not be able to answer. The block universe theory is mathematically elegant and consistent with our best understanding of physics, but it leaves many puzzles unsolved. Why do we experience time the way we do? What determines which observer experiences which slice of the eternal now? And perhaps most importantly, what does it mean to live a meaningful life in a universe where all moments exist simultaneously? These questions bring us to the edge of what physics can tell us and into the realm where science meets philosophy, where observation meets interpretation, where the measurable meets the mysterious. As we continue this exploration, we'll discover that the nature of time touches on everything from free will and destiny to the deepest questions about consciousness and reality itself. The question becomes even more intriguing when we consider what physicists call quantum entanglement. Imagine two particles that have interacted in such a way that they become mysteriously connected. No matter how far apart they travel through the universe, when something happens to one particle, something corresponding happens to the other particle instantly, even if they're separated by billions of miles. Einstein famously called this spooky action at a distance, and he was deeply uncomfortable with the idea. It seemed to violate everything we know about how information travels through space. Nothing can move faster than light. Yet these entangled particles appear to communicate with each other instantaneously across any distance. But here's where our exploration of time becomes even more fascinating. Some interpretations suggest that this instant connection doesn't require information to travel through space at all. Instead, it might be evidence that the separation we perceive between distant events is itself an illusion created by our limited perspective on space-time. Think of it this way. If you're looking at a photograph of two people standing far apart, they appear separate and disconnected. But if you could see the entire scene from above, you might discover that their shadows are touching, creating a connection that wasn't visible from your original viewpoint. Quantum entanglement might be showing us the shadows of a deeper reality where particles that seem separate in space are actually connected in dimensions we can't directly perceive. As you contemplate this idea, notice how it might change your sense of isolation and separateness. Take a moment to consider that the atoms in your body were once part of ancient stars, and before that, they emerged from the first moments after the Big Bang. In a very real sense, you're made of the same fundamental substance as everything else in the universe, connected through chains of quantum interactions that stretch back to the beginning of time itself. This brings us to one of the most mind-bending experiments in modern physics, something called the delayed choice quantum eraser. In this experiment, scientists can make a decision about how to measure a particle after that particle has already been detected, and this future decision appears to retroactively determine how the particle behaved in the past. Let me paint you a picture of how strange this really is. Imagine you're playing a game where you throw a ball at a wall with two doorways. Normally, the ball would go through one doorway or the other. But in the quantum world, particles can behave like waves, going through both doorways simultaneously and creating an interference pattern on the wall behind. Now here's the remarkable part. In the delayed choice experiment, scientists can decide after the particle has already hit the wall whether to look for evidence of which doorway it went through. If they choose to look for this which path information, the particle retroactively behaves as if it went through only one doorway. If they choose not to look, it retroactively behaves as if it went through both doorways simultaneously. This suggests something profound about the relationship between observation and reality. The particle's past behavior seems to depend on future decisions about how to observe it. Some interpretations propose that the future is somehow reaching back in time to influence the past, creating what physicists call retrocausality. Now, I want to be clear that this remains a highly speculative interpretation, and there's no scientific consensus on what these experiments actually mean for our understanding of time and causality. Many physicists argue that these effects can be explained without invoking backwards causation, but the mere possibility opens up extraordinary questions about the nature of time itself. If retrocausality is real, then the neat linear progression from cause to effect that we take for granted might be an oversimplification. Instead of time flowing like a river from past to future, it might be more like an ocean where currents move in multiple directions, creating complex patterns of influence that we're only beginning to map. Consider what this might mean for your own life story. The decisions you're contemplating for tomorrow might already be sending ripples backward through time, subtly influencing the experiences that led you to this moment of consideration. Your future self might, in some sense, be participating in the creation of your past. This doesn't mean that your past is changeable in any practical sense. You can't send a message to your younger self or prevent mistakes you've already made. But it might mean that the story of your life is more intricately woven than you imagine, with threads of causation running in directions that logic alone cannot follow. Let's pause here and take a gentle breath together. Notice how these ideas might be challenging some of your most fundamental assumptions about reality. This is natural and healthy. Science has always been about questioning our intuitions and discovering that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than our everyday experience suggests. The beauty of these mysteries is that they don't diminish the reality of your experience, they expand it. Whether time flows or exists as an eternal block, whether causation runs forward or backward, whether consciousness plays a fundamental role in reality or emerges from physical processes, your joys, sorrows, loves, and discoveries remain as meaningful as they ever were. Perhaps more so, because they're part of a cosmic story that's infinitely more complex and mysterious than we once imagined. This brings us to a fascinating question about memory itself. When you remember your 5th birthday party, what exactly are you doing? Are you accessing stored information about a dead event, like playing back a recording? Or might you somehow be connecting across space-time with a moment that still exists in its eternal present? Some interpretations of consciousness and time suggest that memory might be more like tuning into a radio station than backplaying a recording. Your brain might be acting as a kind of antenna, picking up signals from your past self across the dimensions of space-time. This would explain why memories feel so vivid and immediate, why they can surprise you with details you thought you'd forgotten, and why they sometimes change and evolve over time. Of course, this remains highly speculative, but it points to a deeper mystery about the nature of consciousness itself. How does the 3 pounds of neural tissue in your skull create the rich, subjective experience of being you? How does it generate the feeling of existing in the present moment, of remembering the past, of anticipating the future? Scientists have identified many of the brain processes with consciousness associate, but the hard problem remains unsolved. We can map the neural correlates of awareness, but we still don't understand how electrical activity in neurons gives rise to the felt experience of seeing red, hearing music, or feeling love. This explanatory gap between brain and mind might be pointing towards something fundamental about the nature of reality itself. Some researchers propose that consciousness might not be produced by the brain, but rather interfaced with through it, like a radio receiving signals from an external source. Others suggest that consciousness might be a fundamental feature of the universe, like mass or electric charge, present at every level of reality, but only obvious when organized in sufficiently complex patterns. These ideas remain controversial and unproven, but they offer intriguing possibilities for understanding how awareness might relate to time. If consciousness is fundamental, then perhaps the experience of temporal flow isn't an illusion created by brain processes, but rather a basic feature of how awareness interacts with the structure of space-time. As you sit with these possibilities, you might notice something curious happening in your own experience of time. Have you ever become so absorbed in an activity that hours passed in what felt like minutes? Or conversely, have you ever been in a situation where seconds stretched into eternities? Your subjective experience of time is remarkably flexible, expanding and contracting based on attention, emotion, and circumstance. This subjective variability might be offering you clues about time's deeper nature. Perhaps the steady tick of clock time is not the fundamental reality, but rather a useful approximation, like the smooth surface of an ocean that hides the complex currents flowing beneath. Advanced meditators throughout history have reported experiences where the normal flow of time seems to stop or become irrelevant. In these states, they describe accessing a kind of eternal present where all moments seem to coexist simultaneously. While these remain subjective reports rather than scientific evidence, they suggest that consciousness might be capable of different ways than of experiencing time in our everyday awareness assumes. This connects to an intriguing possibility about the nature of enlightenment or awakening that appears in many contemplative traditions. Rather than achieving some special state or gaining new knowledge, awakening might involve recognizing what has always been true about the nature of time and existence. It might be like stepping back far enough from the movie screen to see that what appeared to be motion was actually a series of still frames, each one complete and perfect in itself. If this is the case, then your deepest spiritual insights and your most profound scientific discoveries might be pointing toward the same ultimate truth about reality. The mystic's eternal now and the physicist's block universe might be different ways of describing the same fundamental fact about existence. But even if time is ultimately an illusion, even if past and future coexist with the present, this doesn't diminish the importance of how you live within the experience of temporal flow. Your choices still matter. Your actions still have consequences. Your love still creates ripples of meaning that spread through the web of existence. Perhaps the greatest gift of understanding these mysteries is not to escape from time, but to inhabit it more fully. When you realize that this moment, right now, might be your eternal present, that it might continue to exist forever in the vast sculpture of space-time, it can fill even ordinary experiences with a sense of profound significance. The cup of tea you're drinking, the breath you're taking, the thoughts arising and dissolving in your awareness, all of these might be permanent features of reality, as enduring as mountains or stars. This doesn't make them heavy with obligation, but light with wonder. You're not just passing through existence, in some sense you're helping to create it, moment by eternal moment. As our exploration continues, we'll venture even deeper into these mysteries, discovering how the nature of time connects to questions of free will, destiny, and the ultimate meaning of existence. We'll explore what it might feel like to live fully within the paradox of temporal flow and eternal presence, and we'll consider how these insights might transform your relationship with memory, anticipation, and the precious gift of being alive in this moment, whatever this moment ultimately is. For now, let yourself rest in the mystery. Let these ideas settle into your awareness, like snow falling on a quiet landscape. There's no need to solve these puzzles or reach definitive conclusions. Sometimes the most profound truths are found not in answers, but in the quality of attention we bring to the questions themselves. The deeper we venture into these mysteries, the more we encounter what might be the most perplexing aspect of all: the role that observation itself seems to play in shaping reality. In the quantum realm, the act of measurement doesn't just reveal what was already there. According to some interpretations, it appears to help determine what becomes real in the first place. This phenomenon, known as wave function collapse, suggests something extraordinary about the relationships between consciousness and physical reality. Before measurement, a quantum particle exists in what physicists call a superposition, a ghostly state where it embodies all possible outcomes simultaneously. The particle is neither here nor there, neither spinning up nor spinning down. It exists in a realm of pure potential, like a story that contains every possible ending until someone opens the book to read it. But the moment an observation occurs, this ethereal superposition collapses into a single, definite state. The particle chooses, so to speak, which version of itself to become real. What's deeply puzzling is that this transition from potential to actual seems to require the presence of an observer, though scientists continue to debate what exactly constitutes an observer in this context. Now, I want to be clear that there's no scientific consensus on whether consciousness itself plays a fundamental role in wave function collapse, or whether it's simply a consequence of the physical interaction between measuring devices and quantum systems. This remains one of the most contentious questions in modern physics, with interpretations ranging from consciousness-based theories to purely mechanical explanations. But consider the implications if consciousness does play even a subtle role in this process. It would mean that awareness isn't just passively receiving information about reality, it might be participating in the ongoing creation of what becomes real. Every moment of observation, every act of attention, could be contributing to the vast collaborative project of existence itself. Take a gentle breath and notice how this idea might feel in your own experience. Right now, as you listen to these words, countless quantum events are occurring in the atoms of your body, in the air around you, in the device you're using to hear this. If consciousness influences quantum measurement in any way, then your awareness at this very moment might be participating in determining which version of the universe becomes actual from the infinite sea of quantum possibilities. This connects to a fascinating concept in physics called the many worlds interpretation. According to this view, every quantum measurement doesn't cause a collapse at all. Instead, it causes reality to split into multiple parallel worlds, each containing a different outcome. In one world, the particle spins up. In another, it spins down. Both worlds are equally real, but they can no longer interact with each other. If this interpretation is correct, then at every moment, reality is branching into countless parallel versions of itself. There are worlds where you chose differently this morning, worlds where history unfolded along alternative paths, worlds where the very conversation we're having right now took slightly different turns. All of these worlds exist simultaneously in the vast multiverse of quantum possibilities. From this perspective, your life isn't a single thread moving through time, but rather a constantly branching tree of possibilities, with your consciousness somehow selecting which branch to follow from moment to moment. The decisions you didn't make, the paths you didn't take, they all exist in parallel worlds that split off from this one at the moment of choice. This might sound like science fiction, but it emerges naturally from taking quantum mechanics seriously at large scales. If particles can exist in superposition, why not atoms? If atoms, why not molecules? If molecules, why not entire people, planets, or universes? The mathematics of quantum theory doesn't provide a natural cut-off point where superposition stops and classical reality begins. The philosophical implications are staggering. If every possible version of your life exists somewhere in the multiverse, then, in a sense, nothing is ever truly lost. Every opportunity you missed is realized in some parallel world. Every relationship that didn't work out flourishes in another branch of reality. Every version of yourself that you might have become is living out their story in their own quantum realm. But this raises profound questions about identity and meaning. Which version of you is the real you? Are you more real than your parallel selves? Or are you all equally valid expressions of some deeper identity that transcends any single timeline? And if every possible choice leads to a real outcome, somewhere in the multiverse, do your decisions actually matter? These questions bring us to the edge of what science can definitively tell us and into the realm where physics meets philosophy, where measurement meets mystery. As you contemplate these possibilities, you might notice how they challenge not just your understanding of time and reality, but your sense of responsibility, purpose, and the significance of this particular moment in this particular world. Some interpretations suggest that consciousness might serve as a kind of steering mechanism, guiding us through the branching paths of quantum possibility. Perhaps the choices you make aren't creating new realities so much as selecting which pre-existing reality to experience. Your awareness might be like a ship navigating through an ocean of infinite potential, choosing which currents to follow through the vast space of what's possible. This connects to ancient spiritual teachings that describe reality as a kind of dream or illusion, not because it's unreal, but because it's far more fluid and participatory than our everyday experience suggests. The Hindu concept of Maya, the Buddhist understanding of emptiness, the mystical traditions that speak of reality as a divine play of consciousness. All of these might be pointing toward the same fundamental truth that quantum physics is beginning to reveal through mathematics and experiment. But even if reality is far stranger than we imagine, even if consciousness plays some role in shaping what becomes actual, this doesn't diminish the importance of how you live within your particular branch of the quantum multiverse. The love you feel, the beauty you perceive, the connections you make, these experiences are real and meaningful, regardless of whether they're occurring in one world or countless parallel worlds. Perhaps the greatest insight from these quantum mysteries is not that reality is illusory, but that it's far more creative and participatory than we've traditionally assumed. You're not a passive observer of a predetermined universe. You might be an active participant in the ongoing creation of existence itself, making choices that ripple through the quantum foam of possibility, helping to weave the fabric of what becomes real. This brings us to a curious phenomenon that meditators and contemplatives have reported throughout history. Experiences of timelessness that seem to offer glimpses into the eternal present we've been exploring. In deep states of meditation, practitioners often describe a dissolution of the normal boundaries between past, present, and future. Time doesn't flow in these states. Instead, there's a sense of existing in an eternal now that contains all possibilities simultaneously. These subjective reports, while not scientific evidence in the traditional sense, might be offering us clues about consciousness's relationship to time. Perhaps in ordinary awareness, we're like someone watching a movie, experiencing the story frame by frame. But in expanded states of consciousness, we might gain access to something more like the perspective of the film editor, able to see the entire story at once. Some researchers have begun exploring whether these contemplative experiences might be related to the way consciousness interfaces with the quantum nature of reality. This remains highly speculative, but the parallels are intriguing. Both quantum superposition and mystical experience describe states that transcend ordinary categories of space and time. Both suggest that reality is far more fluid and interconnected than our everyday experience implies. Consider what these connections might mean for your own inner life. Every time you sit quietly and notice your breath, every moment when you feel a deep sense of peace or connection, you might be touching something fundamental about the nature of existence itself. Your contemplative experiences might not be separate from the physical world, but deeply connected to the quantum processes that underlie all reality. This doesn't mean that meditation or spiritual practice gives you special powers over the physical world. There's no credible scientific evidence that individual thoughts or emotions can directly influence quantum events at any meaningful scale. But it might mean that consciousness and cosmos are far more intimately related than our materialistic worldview typically assumes. The question becomes, how do you live with wisdom in a universe that might be far stranger than you ever imagined? How do you make meaningful choices when every possible choice might be realized somewhere in the multiverse? How do you find purpose when the boundaries between past, present, and future blur into an eternal dance of possibility? Perhaps the answer lies not in solving these mysteries, but in learning to dance with them. Rather than seeking certainty about the nature of time and reality, you might cultivate a kind of cosmic curiosity, an openness to the profound mystery of existence that doesn't require definitive answers to be deeply meaningful. This perspective invites you to hold your beliefs lightly, to remain open to new possibilities while still acting with conviction in your particular corner of reality. It suggests that the deepest wisdom might come not from knowing exactly how the universe works, but from developing the capacity to remain present and responsive to whatever emerges in each moment. As you practice this kind of open attention, you might begin to notice subtle shifts in your relationship to time itself. The urgent rush toward future goals might soften into a more patient appreciation of the journey. The weight of past mistakes might lighten as you recognize that every moment offers fresh possibilities for choice and growth. The present moment might expand from a fleeting instant into something vast and spacious, containing infinite depth and richness. These shifts in perception don't require believing in any particular interpretation of quantum mechanics or cosmology. They emerge naturally from paying closer attention to the actual texture of your experience, regardless of what theoretical framework you use to understand it. The mystery of existence reveals itself not through abstract concepts, but through the intimate details of lived awareness. This brings us to a profound realization about the relationship between scientific discovery and spiritual insight. Rather than being opposed or unrelated, they might be different ways of exploring the same fundamental mystery. Science reveals the mathematical structure of reality's dance, while contemplative practice offers in that direct participation same dance. Both point toward a universe that's far more creative, interconnected, and mysterious than our ordinary. The block thinking assumes universe theory, quantum superposition, retrocausality, the many worlds interpretation. All of these scientific concepts echo themes that have appeared in mystical traditions for thousands of years. The unity of all existence, the illusory nature of linear time, the participatory relationship between consciousness and reality. These insights seem to emerge independently whenever humans look deeply enough into the nature of existence. This convergence doesn't prove that ancient spiritual teachings were scientifically accurate, but it suggests that they might have been pointing toward genuine features of reality that we're now beginning to understand through different methods. The mystics' direct experience and the physicists' mathematical equations might be complementary ways of mapping the same incomprehensible territory. As our exploration continues, we'll discover how these insights might transform not just your understanding of time and reality, but your actual experience of being alive. We'll explore what it means to live fully within the paradox of existing as both a local, temporal being and an eternal cosmic process. We'll consider how recognizing the mystery of time might change your relationship to memory, anticipation, death, and the precious gift of present moment awareness. For now, let yourself rest in the vast uncertainty of it all. Notice how not knowing the ultimate nature of time and reality can be liberating rather than frightening. There's something beautiful about existing at the edge of mystery, participating in a cosmic story whose ending, if it has one, remains wonderfully unknown. Take a breath and feel yourself existing right here, right now, in this moment that might be eternal, in this present that might contain all of time, in this awareness that might be participating in the ongoing creation of reality itself. Whether you're a temporary pattern in the flow of time or an eternal feature of the block universe, you're here, you're real, and you're part of something magnificent beyond all understanding. As we venture deeper into these quantum mysteries, we encounter something that challenges our most basic assumptions about knowledge itself. Think about this. Every piece of information you've ever learned about the world came to you from the past. The light reaching your eyes left its source moments ago. The sound entering your ears travelled through air-rated inst that vipants before. Even the thoughts arising in your mind draw upon memories and experiences that are, technically speaking, historical events. This creates a fascinating paradox. If you can only know about the past, how can you ever truly know what's happening now? And if the present moment is constantly slipping into the past before you can fully grasp it, what exactly are you experiencing when you feel like you're living in the now? Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that this delay between events and our knowledge of them might be more just a practical than limitation. It might be a fundamental feature of how reality constructs itself. In quantum field theory, particles don't have definite positions or properties until they interact with other particles or measuring devices. Before these interactions occur, they exist in a realm of pure possibility, like unwritten stories waiting for someone to provide the next sentence. This quantum indeterminacy might mean that the present moment isn't a fixed point moving through time, but rather a constantly emerging boundary between the determined past and the undetermined future. Each moment of now might be the universe making countless tiny decisions about which possibilities become actual, transforming the ghostly potential of quantum superposition into the solid reality of classical experience. Take a gentle breath and consider how this might appear in your own experience. Right now, as you listen to these words, your brain is processing electrical signals, your heart is beating, your cells are carrying out millions of chemical reactions. Each of these processes involves quantum events that were in moment they determinate until they occurred. In a very real sense, your body is a continuously emerging phenomenon, constantly crystallizing out of the quantum foam of possibility. This brings us to one of the most profound questions in all of science. What exactly is doing the observing when quantum possibilities collapse into classical reality? Traditional interpretations often invoke measuring devices or conscious observers, but this raises puzzling questions about where to draw the line between quantum and classical behavior. Some researchers have proposed what's called the participatory universe hypothesis. This speculative idea suggests that reality emerges through kind of cosmic, a collaboration between the physical laws that govern quantum behavior and the countless acts of observation that occur throughout the universe. Every interaction between particles, every measurement by a device, every moment of conscious awareness might be contributing to the ongoing process of turning possibility into actuality. This remains highly speculative and is not accepted by mainstream physics, but it points towards something beautiful about the nature of existence. Rather than being passive observers of a predetermined reality, we might be active participants in its continuous creation. Not through magical thinking or wishful intention, but through the simple fact of being aware, conscious beings embedded in a quantum universe. Now let's explore how this participatory view might connect to something you experience every day, the phenomenon of attention itself. When you focus your awareness on something, whether it's a sunset, a piece of music, or a memory from childhood, something remarkable happens in your brain. Neural networks that were previously separate begin to synchronize their activity, creating complex patterns of electrical coherence across different regions of your mind. This neural synchronization doesn't just register what you're paying attention to, it actually changes how you perceive it. The same sunset can appear breathtakingly beautiful or barely noticeable, depending on the quality of attention you bring to the experience. The same memory can feel vivid and meaningful, or dim and forgettable, based on how fully you engage with it in the present moment. Some researchers speculate that this subjective power of attention might be related to consciousness's role in quantum measurement. Though this remains unproven and controversial, the idea is that focused awareness might not just observe reality, but participate in selecting which aspects of quantum possibility become emphasized in your experience. This doesn't mean that your thoughts control external reality in any magical sense. The laws of physics continue to operate regardless of what you're thinking or feeling, but it might mean that consciousness plays a subtle role in determining which facets of the infinitely complex present moment become prominent in your awareness. Consider how this might manifest in your daily life. Have you ever noticed how learning about something new seems to make it appear everywhere? Once you discover a particular type of bird, you suddenly start seeing it in places you walk past every day. Once you learn a new word, you begin hearing it in conversations and reading it in books. The birds and words were always there, but your attention somehow brings them into the foreground of your experience. This selective attention might be offering you a glimpse into something deeper about how consciousness interfaces with reality. Perhaps awareness doesn't just receive information about the world, but actively participates in determining which information becomes salient and meaningful. Your curiosity, wonder, and attention might be subtle but real forces in the ongoing creation of your experienced reality. As you reflect on this possibility, notice how it might change your relationship to the act of paying attention itself. Every moment of mindful awareness, every instance of genuine curiosity, every experience of wonder or beauty might be more than just pleasant mental states. They might be ways of participating in the cosmic process of turning infinite possibility into lived reality. This brings us to a fascinating intersection between quantum physics and contemplative practice. For thousands of years, meditation traditions have emphasized the transformative power of sustained attention. Advanced practitioners often report experiences where the boundary between observer and observed begins to dissolve, where consciousness seems to merge with whatever it's observing, From a purely subjective perspective, these experiences suggest that awareness might be more fluid and participatory than our everyday sense of being separate observers implies. While we can't draw definitive scientific conclusions from these reports, they point toward possibilities that resonate intriguingly with quantum mechanical descriptions of reality. In quantum field theory, the vacuum of empty space isn't actually empty. It's filled with what physicists call virtual particles, constantly appearing and disappearing in accordance with Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. This quantum vacuum is like a cosmic ocean of potential, pregnant with all possibilities but manifesting none of them until interactions occur that bring specific possibilities into actuality. Some interpretations suggest that consciousness might be interfacing with this quantum vacuum in ways we don't yet understand. This remains purely speculative, but it offers a fascinating framework for thinking about the relationship between mind and cosmos. Perhaps awareness isn't produced by the brain so much as channeled through it, like a radio receiving signals from the quantum field of pure potential. If this were the case, then meditation and contemplative practice might be ways of refining this reception, of becoming more sensitive to the subtle signals that arise from the deepest levels of reality. The peace, clarity, and insight that emerge from sustained attention might not just be pleasant byproducts of brain chemistry, but actual information flowing from the quantum foundation of existence itself. Again, I want to emphasize that this is speculative thinking, not established scientific fact. But it points toward a profound possibility that the contemplative exploration of consciousness and the scientific investigation of quantum mechanics might be different approaches to understanding the same fundamental mystery. Take a moment to consider how this might feel in your own experience when you sit quietly and simply notice your breath, when you feel a deep sense of connection with the natural world, when you experience moments of profound peace or clarity. You might be touching something that connects your individual awareness to the vast creative process of the universe itself. This doesn't require believing in any particular theory about consciousness or quantum mechanics. It's something you can explore directly through the quality of attention you bring to this moment, right now. Notice the space between thoughts, the stillness that underlies mental activity, the awareness that remains constant even as experiences arise and pass away. This unchanging awareness might be your most direct connection to whatever is eternal and timeless in existence. Whether the block universe theory is correct, whether consciousness plays a role in quantum measurement, whether reality is participatory or predetermined. This aware presence remains as your constant companion through all possible interpretations of what it means to exist. The beauty of this exploration is that it doesn't require you to choose between scientific and spiritual perspectives on reality. Instead, it invites you to hold multiple possibilities simultaneously, to remain curious and open, while still grounding yourself in direct experience. Science reveals the mathematical structure of mystery, while contemplative practice offers immediate participation in that same mystery. As we continue this journey, we'll explore how these insights might transform your relationship to some of the deepest challenges of human existence: the experience of loss, the fear of death, the search for meaning in an apparently indifferent universe. We'll offer new ways of understanding how recognizing the mystery of time might grief, hope, and the precious fragility of conscious life. But for now, let yourself rest in this moment of not knowing, this space where scientific wonder and contemplative awe meet in mutual recognition of something too vast and beautiful to be contained in any single framework of understanding. You are here, in this eternal now that might contain all of time, participating in a mystery that reveals itself not through answers, but through the very quality of questioning itself. The deeper we explore these mysteries, the more we encounter what might be the most transformative insight of all. The recognition that uncertainty itself might be a fundamental feature of existence, not a problem to be solved, but a creative force to be embraced. In classical physics, uncertainty was seen as a limitation of our knowledge. If we could just measure more precisely, calculate more accurately, we would eventually understand everything about the universe in complete detail. But quantum mechanics reveals that uncertainty isn't just about what we don't know. It's built into the very fabric of reality itself. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle tells us that certain pairs of properties, like position and momentum, cannot both be precisely determined simultaneously. This isn't because our measuring instruments aren't good enough. It's because particles don't have definite values for these properties until the moment of measurement. The universe, at its most fundamental level, is genuinely uncertain, genuinely creative, genuinely open to multiple possibilities. This quantum uncertainty might be the source of everything new that emerges in the cosmos. Without it, the universe would be completely predictable, a vast clockwork mechanism grinding through predetermined motions. But with uncertainty comes genuine creativity, the possibility for true novelty, the space for something unprecedented to arise from the interplay of chance and necessity. Consider how this principle might appear in your own life. The most meaningful moments often arise from the unexpected, from the intersection of preparation and chance, from your willingness to remain open to possibilities you couldn't have planned. The conversation that changes your perspective, the opportunity that appears just when you need it, the insight that emerges from patient not knowing. All of these might be expressions of the same creative uncertainty that drives quantum evolution. This doesn't mean that everything is random or that planning and intention don't matter. Structure and spontaneity, determination and openness work together in the dance of existence. Your goals and efforts provide the framework, but the actual unfolding always contains elements of surprise, grace, and genuine novelty. As you sit with this idea, notice how it might change your relationship to the unknown aspects of your future. Rather than seeing uncertainty as something to be eliminated through better planning or more control, you might begin to recognize it as the very space in which meaningful growth becomes possible. The areas of your life that feel most uncertain might be precisely where the greatest creative potential lies waiting. This quantum view of uncertainty connects to ancient wisdom traditions that have long recognized the creative power of embracing not knowing. The Zen concept of don't know mind, the Socratic understanding that wisdom begins with recognizing our ignorance. The mystical traditions that speak of the cloud of unknowing as the space where the divine can be encountered, all of these point toward uncertainty as a doorway rather than a barrier. Perhaps the most profound application of this insight concerns our relationship to the ultimate questions of existence itself. Why is there something rather than nothing? What is the purpose of consciousness in the cosmos? What happens to individual awareness? When the body dies, these questions have puzzled humanity for millennia, and despite all our scientific and philosophical progress, they remain as mysterious as ever. But what if the mystery itself is the point? What if these questions aren't meant to be definitively answered, but rather lived, explored, and danced with? The quantum universe suggests that reality might be fundamentally creative and open-ended. Not a puzzle to be solved, but an ongoing improvisation in which conscious beings like yourself play an essential role. This perspective invites a different kind of relationship to the big questions of life. Instead of seeking final answers that would close off further inquiry, you might cultivate what Zen teachers call great doubt, a profound openness to the mystery that expresses itself through genuine questioning rather than premature conclusions. Take a gentle breath and feel into this quality of great doubt in your own experience. Notice how it differs from anxious worry or cynical skepticism. Great doubt is spacious and wondering, curious rather than fearful, open to whatever might emerge from the depths of not knowing. This kind of doubt isn't the opposite of faith, but rather faith's most authentic expression. It's the confidence to remain open to mystery, to trust that reality is creative enough to exceed any conceptual framework you might use to understand it. Whether you approach existence through scientific inquiry, spiritual practice, or simply the patient attention of daily life, this openness to the unknown remains your most reliable guide. The quantum universe invites you to participate in this ongoing creativity, not by trying to control outcomes, but by bringing your full presence to whatever emerges. Your consciousness, your attention, your wonder, and even your confusion might all be ways of contributing to the cosmic process of turning possibility into actuality. This doesn't make you responsible for everything that happens in your life or in the world. The universe is vast, complex, and largely beyond individual influence. But it might mean that your way of being present, the quality of awareness you bring to each moment, participates in subtle ways in the ongoing creation of reality. As you contemplate these possibilities, you might notice something shifting in your sense of what it means to be alive right now, in this moment, in this particular configuration of space and time. Whether this moment exists eternally in a block universe, or is constantly emerging from quantum uncertainty, whether consciousness plays a fundamental role in reality or emerges from complex physical processes, you are here, aware, and participating in something magnificent beyond all comprehension. The mystery of time, consciousness, and quantum reality doesn't diminish the significance of your individual experience. If anything, it reveals that your existence is far more remarkable than you might have imagined. You are a temporary pattern in the cosmic dance, a unique way that the universe has organized itself to become aware of its own mystery. This awareness you carry is not separate from the physical processes that sustain it, but it's not reducible to them either. It emerges from the complex interplay of quantum events, neural networks, and something ineffable that we call consciousness. You are simultaneously a biological organism subject to physical laws and an experiencing subject capable of wonder, love, and the recognition of beauty. Perhaps the deepest teaching of quantum mechanics is that reality is both more mysterious and more intimate than our everyday thinking assumes. The particles that make up your body are connected to every other particle in the universe through invisible threads of quantum correlation. The atoms in your cells were forged in the nuclear fires of ancient stars. The consciousness reading these words emerged from the same evolutionary process that gave rise to galaxies, planets, and the intricate web of life on Earth. You are not separate from the cosmos, but rather a way that the cosmos has become conscious of itself. Your thoughts, feelings, and perceptions are local expressions of a universal process of awareness that might extend far beyond what we can currently understand or measure. This recognition doesn't solve the mystery of existence, but it might transform your relationship to being part of it. Instead of feeling like a tiny, insignificant speck in a vast, indifferent universe, you might begin to sense yourself as an integral thread in the cosmic tapestry, contributing your own unique pattern to the overall beauty of the whole. As our exploration draws toward a close, I want to leave you with one final consideration about the nature of time and existence. Whether the past is still happening, whether the future already exists, whether consciousness plays a role in quantum measurement, whether reality is participatory or predetermined, one thing remains constant. The extraordinary fact that you are here, aware and capable of contemplating these mysteries. This capacity for wonder, this ability to ask questions about the nature of existence itself, might be among the most remarkable features of the universe we've discovered so far. In you, the cosmos has evolved the ability to reflect on its own nature, to experience beauty and meaning, to love and create and imagine possibilities that have never existed before. Whatever the ultimate nature of time and reality, this moment of awareness is precious beyond measure. It's your unique window into the mystery of existence, your particular way of participating in the ongoing story of the universe, becoming conscious of itself. So as you move forward into whatever moments await you, whether they're already determined in some eternal block universe or constantly emerging from quantum possibility, remember that you carry within yourself something irreplaceable, the capacity to be present, to pay attention, to respond with wisdom and compassion to whatever arises. The past might still be happening, the future might already exist, but right now, in this eternal present, you have the opportunity to contribute your own thread to the vast tapestry of existence. Your choices, your attention, your love, and your wonder all matter, not because they control the universe, but because they're unique expressions of the universe's capacity for consciousness, creativity, and care. Take one more gentle breath with me, and notice how the simple act of breathing connects you to the entire web of life on Earth, to the atmospheric chemistry that makes consciousness that created the elements in your body possible, to the stellar processes, to the mysterious quantum processes that underlie all physical existence. You are here, you are real, and you are part of something magnificent beyond all understanding. Whether time flows or exists as an eternal block, whether consciousness emerges from matter or interfaces with it, whether reality is determined or creative, you remain the experiencer, the witness, the one who asks the questions and marvels at the mystery. And if you found yourself drawn into these contemplations about the mysterious nature of time and existence, you might be equally fascinated by another cosmic puzzle that touches every moment of your experience. Have you ever wondered why everything in the universe spins? From the tiniest quantum particles to the largest galactic superclusters, rotation seems to be woven into the very fabric of existence itself. There's a hidden secret behind this universal spinning that connects to some of the deepest questions about reality, consciousness, and the nature of existence itself. Until we meet again in that exploration, rest well in the mystery of this eternal now, whatever this now ultimately is. Now let's venture into even stranger territory, where the boundaries between science and philosophy dissolve entirely. What if I told you that some of the most rigorous experiments in physics have revealed something that challenges our most basic assumption about existence itself? that things happen in a definite order? Picture this scenario. A scientist in Tokyo decides to measure a particle at precisely noon. Meanwhile, another researcher in New York chooses to observe a related particle at what appears to be the same moment. But according to Einstein's relativity, there's no universal agreement about when the same moment actually occurs. What one observer considers simultaneous, another might experience as sequential. This isn't just a quirk of measurement, it reveals something profound about the fabric of reality itself. The implications ripple through everything we think we know about cause and effect. In our everyday world, causes precede effects, with reassuring regularity. You flip a light switch, then the bulb illuminates. You speak, then sound waves travel to a listener's ear. But in the quantum realm, this comfortable sequence becomes far more mysterious. Consider the delayed choice quantum eraser experiments we touched on earlier, but from a different angle. These experiments suggest that a decision made by a researcher after a photon has already been detected can appear to influence how that photon behaved in the past. Now, before we venture too far down this path, it's crucial to understand that this interpretation remains highly controversial among physicists. Many argue that these effects can be explained without invoking backwards causation, and there's no scientific consensus on what these experiments actually reveal about the nature of time. But the mere possibility opens extraordinary questions. If future events can somehow influence past ones, even at the quantum level, what does this mean for our understanding of free will, destiny, and the very nature of choice itself? Take a moment to breathe with this idea to consider. Notice how it might feel that your future decisions could be sending subtle influences backward through time, participating in the creation of the very circumstances that led you to make those decisions. This remains a speculative idea, not a proven scientific fact, but it points toward a universe far more interconnected than our linear thinking typically assumes. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest what physicists call the block universe with quantum influences. In this view, the four-dimensional structure of spacetime might contain subtle correlations that connect events across time in ways that transcend our usual notion of cause and effect. These quantum correlations don't violate the laws of physics, but they hint at a deeper unity underlying the apparent separation between past, present, and future. This connects to fascinating research on quantum biology, where scientists have discovered that quantum effects play crucial roles in processes we once thought were purely classical. Photosynthesis, for example, appears to use quantum superposition to find the most efficient pathways for energy transfer. Some researchers speculate that similar quantum processes might occur in the micelles, though this remains unproven and controversial. The possibility rotubules of brain, that consciousness interfaces with quantum processes in the brain, doesn't mean that your thoughts directly control reality in any magical sense. The brain remains a biological organ operating according to physical laws, but it might mean that the boundary between mind and matter is far more subtle and permeable than our everyday experience suggests. As you reflect on these possibilities, you might notice how they transform your relationship to the choices you make each day. Every decision, from the smallest gesture of kindness to the most significant life change, might be participating in a web of connections that extends both forward and backward through time. This doesn't make you responsible for everything that happens, but it might suggest that your actions matter in ways that extend far beyond their immediate, visible effects. This brings us to one of the most beautiful mysteries in all of science, the question of emergence. How do the simple interactions between quantum particles give rise to the incredible complexity of living systems, conscious minds, and the entire tapestry of human experience. Emergence is the phenomenon where complex systems develop properties that can't be predicted from understanding their individual components. Water molecules, for instance, don't seem wet when considered individually, but wetness emerges from their collective behaviour. Similarly, individual neurons don't appear conscious, yet consciousness somehow emerges from their intricate dance within the brain. Some researchers propose that consciousness itself might be an emergent property that arises when information is integrated in sufficiently complex ways. This integrated information theory suggests that awareness isn't produced by any single part of the brain, but emerges from the patterns of connection between different regions. In this view, consciousness is less like a thing and more like a process, a dynamic pattern that exists in the relationships between elements, rather than in the elements themselves. If consciousness is indeed an emergent phenomenon, this might explain why it feels so different from the physical processes that support it. You experience thoughts, emotions, and sensations as qualitatively distinct from electrical activity in neurons, yet they arise from that same activity through the mysterious alchemy of emergence. This perspective offers a beautiful bridge between scientific and contemplative understanding. The mystic's recognition that individual identity is an illusion, that the self is actually a process rather than a thing, resonates with the scientist's understanding that consciousness emerges from complex interactions rather than existing as a separate substance. As you sit with this idea, you might begin to sense how your own awareness participates in this ongoing emergence. Every moment of attention, every experience of beauty or wonder, every recognition of connection with others might be expressions of the universe's capacity for consciousness manifesting through your particular nervous system. But emergence raises profound questions about the nature of free will. If your thoughts and decisions emerge from the complex interactions of brain cells, and those cells operate according to physical laws, in what sense are your choices truly free? This question has puzzled philosophers and scientists for centuries, and it becomes even more complex when we consider the quantum indeterminacy that underlies all physical processes. Some interpretations suggest that quantum uncertainty might provide the space for genuine choice to occur. Since the behaviour of individual particles is fundamentally unpredictable, the argument goes there might be room for something like free will to operate at the quantum level. However, most scientists argue that random events aren't the same as free choices, and that quantum randomness wouldn't necessarily make our decisions any more meaningful or responsible. Perhaps the question of free will versus determinism is itself based on a false dichotomy. Instead of asking whether your choices are determined or free, you might explore what it actually feels like to make a choice in this moment. Notice the space between impulse and action, the capacity to pause, reflect, and respond rather than simply react. This experiential freedom might be real and meaningful, regardless of what theoretical framework you use to explain it. This brings us to something contemplatives have recognized for millennia: the transformative power of present moment awareness. When you're fully present, not lost in thoughts about past or future, something shifts in the quality of your experience. Time seems to slow down, colours appear more vivid, and even ordinary activities can feel imbued with meaning and beauty. This shift in perception might be offering you a glimpse into the deeper nature of time itself. Perhaps the flowing river of temporal experience and the eternal now of the block universe aren't contradictory, but complementary aspects of the same reality. Your capacity to be present might be how consciousness navigates through the vast structure of space-time, selecting which moments to illuminate with the light of awareness. Neuroscientists have begun studying what happens in the brain during states of deep presence and meditation. They've discovered that sustained attention practices can actually change the structure of the brain, increasing the density of grey matter in areas associated with learning, memory, and emotional regulation. These changes aren't just temporary states, but lasting modifications to the neural architecture of consciousness itself. Some researchers speculate that these meditation-induced brain changes might alter how consciousness interfaces with time. Long-term practitioners often report experiences of timelessness that seem to transcend ordinary temporal flow. While these remain subjective reports rather than objective scientific findings, they point toward possibilities that science is only beginning to explore. The convergence of contemplative practice and quantum physics suggests something profound about the nature of reality. Both domains point toward a universe that's far more participatory, interconnected, and mysterious than our everyday thinking assumes. The scientist's equations and the meditator's insights might be different languages for describing the same ineffable truth about existence. This doesn't mean that ancient spiritual traditions were somehow scientifically accurate in their specific claims about reality. Rather, it suggests that when humans look deeply into the nature of existence, whether through mathematical inquiry or contemplative practice, they encounter mystery beyond that points to any single framework of understanding. As you breathe with these ideas, you might notice how they invite a different way of being in the world. Instead of seeing yourself as separate from the universe you're observing, you might begin to sense your intimate participation in the ongoing story of cosmic evolution. Your awareness, your choices, your capacity for love and wonder all emerge from the same creative process that gave rise to stars, planets, and the intricate web of life on Earth. This recognition doesn't solve the ultimate mysteries of existence, but it might transform your relationship to being part of them. The questions that once felt isolating, like, why do I exist? Or what's the point of consciousness in an apparently indifferent universe, begin to reveal themselves as expressions of the universe's own deep curiosity about itself. You are not separate from the cosmos, but rather a way that the cosmos has become conscious of its own mystery. Your wondering about the nature of time and reality is actually the universe wondering about itself through the particular lens of your individual awareness. This isn't poetic metaphor, but a recognition of the actual continuity between your consciousness and the vast creative process from which it emerged. The past might still be happening, the future might already exist, but right here, right now, in this moment that might be eternal, you have the extraordinary opportunity to participate consciously in the ongoing creation of meaning, beauty, and understanding. Whether that participation extends beyond your individual lifetime, whether consciousness somehow survives the dissolution of the brain, whether your choices send ripples backward through time, these questions remain beautifully, mysteriously open. What we can say with confidence is that you are here, aware and capable of recognizing the profound mystery of existence itself. This capacity for wonder, this ability to ask questions about the nature of reality, this experience of being conscious in a seemingly infinite cosmos, these might be among the most remarkable features of the universe we've discovered so far. As our exploration draws toward the weight and close, take a moment to feel lightness of existing at this particular moment in cosmic history. You are living at a time when humans have developed the mathematical tools to describe quantum mechanics and relativity, the technological capacity to test these theories through experiment, and the contemplative wisdom to recognize that the deepest truths often lie beyond what can be measured or calculated. You stand at the intersection of scientific knowledge and ancient wisdom, of mathematical precision and mystical insight, of individual experience and cosmic perspective. This is an extraordinary time to be alive, to be conscious, to be part of the universe's ongoing attempt to understand itself. Whether time flows like a river or exists as an eternal block, whether consciousness emerges from matter or interfaces with it through quantum processes, whether your choices are determined by prior causes or arise from genuine freedom, one thing remains wonderfully certain. You are here, participating in the greatest mystery ever encountered. The questions we've explored tonight don't have definitive answers, and perhaps that's exactly as it should be. Mystery isn't a problem to be solved, but a depth to be appreciated, a creative space where new possibilities can emerge. The universe seems to be far stranger, more beautiful, and more participatory than any single theory can capture. As you move forward into whatever moments await you, whether they're already written in the structure of space-time or constantly emerging from quantum possibility, remember that you carry within yourself something irreplaceable, the capacity to be present, to wonder, to love, and to recognize the extraordinary fact of your own existence. The past might still be happening somewhere in the vast block of space-time, but it's also true that each moment offers fresh possibilities for choice, growth, and discovery. You are simultaneously an eternal feature of the cosmic tapestry and a dynamic, ever-changing process of becoming. Both perspectives are real, both are meaningful, and both invite you to live with greater presence, compassion, and wonder. Take one more gentle breath and feel yourself existing right here, right now, in this moment that connects you to everything that has ever been and everything that might ever be. You are not just in the universe, you are the universe becoming conscious of its own magnificent mystery. And if these explorations into the nature of time and consciousness have stirred your curiosity about the deeper patterns that govern existence, you might find yourself wondering about another universal mystery that touches every aspect of reality. From the spinning of subatomic particles to the rotation of entire galaxies, from the double helix of DNA to the spiraling arms of hurricanes, there's a hidden principle at work that connects the tiniest quantum interactions to the grandest cosmic structures. The secret lies in understanding why everything spins, the hidden secret of the universe. Until we meet again in that exploration, rest well in the eternal mystery of this present moment, whatever this moment ultimately is. Now, let's explore one of the most haunting discoveries in modern physics, one that suggests the very act of looking backward into the cosmos might be creating the history we observe. Imagine this: when astronomers peer through their most powerful telescopes to study distant galaxies, they might not just be witnessing ancient light. According to some interpretations of quantum mechanics, they could actually be participating in determining which version of cosmic history becomes real. This phenomenon connects to something called the quantum Zeno effect, where the act of measurement itself can freeze a quantum system in a particular state. In laboratory experiments, frequent observations of a radioactive atom can actually prevent it from decaying, as if consciousness were reaching into the quantum realm and holding certain possibilities in place, while others fade away. But here's where the mystery deepens into something almost mystical. If quantum effects operated on cosmic scales, then every telescope pointed toward a distant star, every photograph taken of ancient light, every moment of scientific observation might be retroactively selecting which version of the universe's past becomes fixed in reality. This remains highly speculative, with no scientific consensus supporting such interpretations, but the mathematical framework of quantum mechanics doesn't provide a clear boundary where these effects must stop. Take a breath and consider how this might feel from the perspective of the universe itself. If consciousness plays any role in quantum measurement, then the emergence of aware beings like humans represents a fundamental shift in cosmic evolution. For billions of years, the universe evolved without observers capable of contemplating its own nature. Then consciousness arose, and suddenly the cosmos gained the ability to look back at its own history, potentially participating in determining which version of that history becomes real. This doesn't mean that human thoughts control cosmic events in any direct sense. The suggestion isn't that wishful thinking can alter the past or that positive emotions create quantum entanglement across galactic distances. Rather, it points towards something more subtle, the possibility that the universe's capacity for self-awareness, manifested through conscious beings, might play some role in the ongoing process of reality's crystallization from quantum possibility into classical actuality. Some physicists have proposed what they call the participatory anthropic principle. This speculative idea suggests that conscious observation might be necessary for the universe to have definite properties at all. In this view, the cosmos doesn't just happen to be suitable for conscious life. Instead, conscious life plays a fundamental role in bringing the universe into being through the act of observation itself. Now, this remains a highly controversial and unproven interpretation. Most physicists would argue that quantum measurements occur constantly through natural processes that don't require consciousness, and that the universe's properties were determined by physical laws long before conscious observers evolved. But the participatory interpretation raises profound questions about the relationship between mind and cosmos that science is only beginning to explore. Consider what this might mean for your own existence within this vast cosmic story. Every time you look up at the night sky, every moment when you contemplate the vastness of space and time, you're participating in the universe's ongoing attempt to understand itself. Your consciousness isn't separate from the physical processes that created the stars you're observing. It emerged from those same processes through the patient work of cosmic evolution. This brings us to a fascinating connection between individual awareness and universal consciousness that appears in many contemplative traditions. The recognition that the observer and the observed are not truly separate, that consciousness and cosmos are different aspects of a single unified reality, resonates remarkably with certain interpretations of quantum mechanics. In meditation, practitioners often report experiences where the boundary between self and world begins to dissolve. The sense of being a separate observer gives way to a more fluid awareness that seems to participate directly in whatever it's observing. While these remain subjective experiences rather than scientific evidence, they point toward possibilities that quantum physics is beginning to explore through different methods. Some researchers have investigated whether focused attention might influence random quantum events in subtle ways. The results remain controversial and inconclusive, with many studies showing no effect and others reporting small but statistically significant correlations. This remains an active area of research, though the scientific community generally approaches such claims with healthy skepticism. What's clear is that consciousness remains one of the deepest puzzles in all of science. We can map the neural correlates of awareness, study the brain processes associated with different mental states, and even alter consciousness through various interventions. But the hard problem persists. How does subjective experience arise from objective physical processes? This explanatory gap between brain and mind might be pointing towards something fundamental about the nature of reality itself. Some interpretations suggest that consciousness might not be produced by matter, but rather interfaced with through it. Like a radio receiving signals from a deeper level of existence, this remains speculative, but it offers a framework for understanding how awareness might be more fundamental than we typically assume. As you breathe with these possibilities, notice how they might shift your sense of what it means to be conscious in this moment. If awareness is fundamental rather than emergent, then your capacity to experience beauty, wonder, and understanding might be expressions of a cosmic principle as basic as mass or electric charge. This doesn't make you personally responsible for the universe's evolution or grant you magical powers over physical reality, but it might mean that your existence as a conscious being represents something genuinely significant in the cosmic story. You're not just a temporary arrangement of matter that happens to have developed the illusion of awareness. You might be a way that the universe has organized itself to become conscious of its own magnificent mystery. Let's explore how this understanding might transform your relationship to some of the most challenging aspects of existence. When you experience loss, when someone you love dies, the conventional view suggests that they have simply ceased to exist. Their consciousness has vanished, their experiences have ended, their unique perspective on reality has been extinguished forever. But if consciousness is more fundamental than we assume, if awareness interfaces with reality rather than being produced by it, then death might represent a transformation rather than a termination. This doesn't necessarily mean personal survival in any traditional sense, but it might suggest that the capacity for consciousness itself is indestructible, even if its particular manifestations through individual brains are temporary. The block universe theory adds another layer to this contemplation. If all moments exist simultaneously in the eternal structure of space-time, then every instant of consciousness you've ever experienced continues to exist somewhere in that vast four-dimensional sculpture. Your awareness of reading these words right now, your memories of childhood wonder, your moments of deep love and connection, all of these remain as permanent features of reality. From this perspective, nothing conscious is ever truly lost. The experiences fade from immediate access, but they persist as eternal elements of the cosmic story. Every laugh shared with a friend, every moment of recognition and understanding, every experience of beauty or meaning becomes a permanent contribution to the tapestry of existence. This doesn't eliminate the pain of loss or the challenge of mortality, but it might offer a different framework for understanding them. Grief becomes not just sorrow for what's gone, but also gratitude for what continues to exist in the eternal now of space-time. Memory becomes not just a faded copy of the past, but a connection to moments that remain vibrantly real in their proper coordinates of space and time. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest even stranger possibilities. If consciousness plays any role in quantum measurement, and if quantum effects can extend backward in time, then your awareness in this moment might be participating in the creation of the very past that led to your existence. This remains highly speculative, with no scientific consensus supporting such ideas, but it points toward a universe far more interconnected than our linear thinking typically assumes. The implications ripple through everything we think we know about personal identity and individual significance. If your consciousness is somehow connected to the fundamental processes that govern reality, then your thoughts, choices, and experiences might matter in ways that extend far beyond their immediate, visible effects. This doesn't mean that positive thinking creates quantum miracles or that individual emotions directly influence cosmic events. The suggestion is more subtle, that your existence as a conscious being participates in the universe's ongoing process of becoming aware of itself. And this participation might have significance that extends beyond what we can currently measure or understand. Consider how this might appear in the simple act of paying attention. When you notice the play of light on water, the intricate structure of a flower, or the vast sweep of stars across the night sky, you're doing something remarkable. You're taking unconscious matter and transforming it into conscious experience. Photons that had no subjective reality become the vivid sensation of colour. Vibrations in air become the rich experience of music. Chemical signals become the complex world of taste and smell. This transformation from objective to subjective, from physical to experiential, represents one of the most profound mysteries in existence. How does consciousness bridge the gap between the measurable world of science and the felt world of experience? Some interpretations suggest that this bridging function might be consciousness's fundamental role in the cosmic story. If this is the case, then every moment of awareness becomes a small miracle of transformation. Your consciousness isn't just observing reality, it's participating in the ongoing process of turning the universe's potential into actual lived experience. This doesn't grant you control over external events, but it might mean that your very existence as an aware being contributes something irreplaceable to the cosmic story. As you sit with this possibility, notice how it might change your relationship to ordinary moments. The simple experience of breathing becomes an intersection between the physical processes that sustain life and the conscious awareness that transforms those processes into felt experience. The act of listening to these words becomes a collaboration between the electromagnetic patterns that encode information and the consciousness that transforms those patterns into meaning. This participatory view of consciousness suggests that you're not just a passive observer of reality, but an active participant in its ongoing creation, not through magical thinking or supernatural intervention, but through the fundamental fact of being aware in a universe that has developed the capacity to know itself through conscious beings like yourself. The quantum universe invites you into this participation with every moment of attention, every experience of wonder, every recognition of beauty or meaning. Your consciousness becomes a kind of cosmic sense organ, a way that the universe experiences its own nature from the inside. Through your eyes, the cosmos sees its own stars. Through your awareness, it contemplates its own mysteries. This recognition doesn't solve the ultimate questions about consciousness, death, or the meaning of existence, but it might transform your relationship to living with these questions. Instead of seeing consciousness as an accidental byproduct of cosmic evolution, you might begin to sense it as evolution's most significant achievement, the universe's capacity to experience itself subjectively. Whether this capacity survives the dissolution of individual brains, whether consciousness somehow transcends the physical processes that seem to generate it, whether awareness plays a fundamental role in the structure of reality itself, these questions remain beautifully, mysteriously open. What we can say with confidence is that right now, in this moment, you are consciousness embodied, awareness incarnate, the universe knowing itself through your particular perspective. This knowing isn't separate from the physical world, but intimately connected to it. Your thoughts arise from neural activity, but they're also more than that activity in ways that science doesn't yet fully understand. Your experiences emerge from sensory processes, but they transform those processes into something qualitatively different, the felt reality of being alive and aware. As our exploration draws toward its conclusion, take a moment to appreciate the extraordinary fact of your own existence. You are living at a unique moment in cosmic history when conscious beings have developed the capacity to contemplate the deepest mysteries of existence itself. Through telescopes and particle accelerators, through mathematical equations and contemplative practices, through art and music and the simple act of paying attention, humanity is participating in the universe's attempt to understand its own nature. Your individual consciousness is part of this vast collective investigation. Every question you ask, every moment of wonder you experience, every recognition of beauty or meaning you encounter contributes to the cosmic process of awakening. You're not just studying the universe. In some sense, you are the universe studying itself. This doesn't make you responsible for solving all of existence's mysteries or understanding everything about the nature of reality. The universe is vast, ancient, and largely beyond individual comprehension, but it might mean that your way of being conscious, the unique perspective you bring to the cosmic story, matters in ways that extend beyond what you can currently imagine. The past might still be happening in the eternal structure of space-time, but it's also true that each moment offers fresh opportunities for consciousness to encounter itself in new ways. Your awareness right now is both a product of everything that came before and a creative response to the infinite possibilities that quantum mechanics suggests are always available. Whether consciousness is fundamental or emergent, whether it survives death or dissolves with the brain, whether it plays a role in quantum measurement or simply observes the results, one thing remains wonderfully certain. You are here, aware, and participating in the greatest mystery ever encountered by conscious beings. The questions we've explored tonight point toward a universe far more mysterious, interconnected, and participatory than our everyday thinking assumes. Science and spirituality, rather than being opposed, might be different approaches to exploring the same fundamental wonder about the nature of existence itself. As you move forward into whatever moments await you, remember that you carry within yourself something irreplaceable, the capacity to transform unconscious matter into conscious experience, to participate in the universe's ongoing attempt to know itself, to contribute your unique thread to the vast tapestry of cosmic awakening. The cosmos is not just a collection of particles moving through space according to mathematical laws. It's also a creative, evolving process of consciousness becoming aware of its own nature. Through conscious beings like yourself, the universe has developed the ability to contemplate its own existence, to experience beauty and meaning, to ask questions about the deepest mysteries of reality. This capacity for wonder, for questioning, for the direct experience of being alive and aware might be among the most significant developments in cosmic evolution. In you, matter has organized itself in such a way that it can know itself, love itself, and participate consciously in its own ongoing creation. Take one final breath with me and feel yourself existing at this remarkable intersection of matter and mind, of cosmic process and conscious experience. You are simultaneously a temporary pattern in the flow of universal change and an eternal participant in the timeless mystery of awareness itself. And if you found yourself drawn into these contemplations about consciousness and cosmic participation, you might be equally fascinated by another fundamental mystery that connects every level of existence. From the spin of electrons to the rotation of galaxies, from the double helix of DNA to the spiral arms of hurricanes, there's a hidden principle at work that reveals something profound about the nature of reality itself. The secret lies in understanding why everything spins, the hidden secret of the universe. Until we meet again in that exploration, rest well in the eternal mystery of conscious existence, whatever that existence ultimately is. As we near the end of our journey through these profound mysteries, we find ourselves confronting perhaps the most personal question of all. What does it mean to live meaningfully in a universe where time might be an illusion, where consciousness might play a fundamental role in reality, and where the very act of observation could be participating in the ongoing creation of existence itself? This isn't just an abstract philosophical puzzle. It touches the heart of how you experience your daily life, how you relate to memory and anticipation, how you understand your place in the vast cosmic story. If the past is still happening somewhere in the structure of space-time, if the future already exists in some sense, if consciousness interfaces with reality in ways we're only beginning to glimpse, then what does it mean to make choices, to grow, to love, to create meaning in the midst of such magnificent uncertainty? Take a gentle breath and notice how these questions might be shifting something in your own experience. Perhaps there's a quality of spaciousness that emerges when you hold the possibility that this moment extends beyond the narrow slice of now that ordinary thinking assumes. Perhaps there's a sense of connection that arises when you consider that your consciousness might be participating in something far larger than individual experience typically encompasses. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that reality is not a fixed stage upon which events unfold, but rather a dynamic, participatory process where conscious observation plays some role in determining which possibilities become actual. This remains highly speculative and controversial, with no scientific consensus supporting such ideas. But even as a possibility, it invites a profound shift in how we understand our relationship to existence itself. If consciousness does interface with the quantum foundation of reality in subtle ways, then perhaps the quality of awareness you bring to each moment matters in dimensions we don't yet fully understand. Not through magical thinking or supernatural intervention, but through something more fundamental about the nature of awareness itself. This would mean that practices like meditation, contemplation, and mindful attention aren't just beneficial for your mental health or emotional well-being. They might be ways of participating more consciously in the ongoing creation of reality. Now, I want to be absolutely clear that this remains a speculative idea, not a proven scientific fact. The suggestion isn't that your thoughts directly control quantum events, or that positive emotions create entanglement across vast distances. Rather, it points toward the possibility that consciousness might play a more fundamental role in the universe than our materialistic worldview typically assumes. Consider how this might appear in something as simple as the act of paying attention to your breath. From one perspective, breathing is just a mechanical process of gas exchange, cells taking in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide, a according to well-understood chemical principles. But from another perspective, the moment you become consciously aware of breathing, something remarkable occurs. Unconscious biological processes become part of lived, subjective experience. The physical transforms into the felt, the objective becomes subjective. This transformation from matter to experience, from physical process to conscious awareness, represents one of the deepest mysteries in all of science. How does the electrical activity in your neurons give rise to the rich, subjective experience of being you? How does the vibration of air molecules become the lived reality of hearing music? How does the electromagnetic spectrum become the vivid world of color and light? Science can map these correlations with increasing precision, but the explanatory gap between brain states and conscious experience remains as mysterious as ever. This gap might be pointing towards something fundamental about the nature of reality itself. Some interpretations suggest that consciousness isn't produced by matter, but rather interfaces with it. Like a radio receiving signals from a deeper level of existence. If this is the case, then your awareness right now isn't separate from the physical processes that support it, but it's not reducible to them either. You exist at the intersection of matter and mind, of cosmic process and conscious experience, participating in something that transcends both purely physical and purely mental descriptions. As you breathe with this possibility, notice how it might change your relationship to ordinary activities. When you listen to music, you're not just processing sound waves, you're participating in the transformation of unconscious vibrations into conscious beauty. When you appreciate a sunset, you're not just registering electromagnetic radiation. You're taking part in the universe's capacity to experience its own splendor through conscious beings like yourself. This participatory view of consciousness suggests that every moment of awareness is simultaneously deeply personal and profoundly universal. Your individual experience of reading these words is uniquely yours, shaped by your particular history, nervous system, and life circumstances. Yet it's also an expression of something cosmic, a way that the universe has organized itself to become aware of its own nature. This recognition doesn't solve the mystery of consciousness or provide definitive answers about the nature of time and reality, but it might transform your relationship to being consciously alive in this particular moment. Instead of feeling like a separate observer of an indifferent universe, you might begin to sense your intimate participation in the ongoing story of cosmic awakening. The block universe theory, quantum mechanics, and contemplative insight all point toward a reality far more interconnected than our everyday thinking assumes. The boundaries between self and world, between observer and observed, between past and future, might be useful approximations rather than fundamental features of existence. You're not just in the universe. In some profound sense, you are the universe becoming conscious of itself. This doesn't make you responsible for everything that happens in the cosmos, or grant you magical powers over physical events. The universe is vast, complex, and largely beyond individual influence. But it might mean that your way of being present, the quality of awareness you bring to each moment, participates in ways we don't yet understand, in the ongoing creation of meaning, beauty, and understanding. Some researchers have investigated whether focused attention might influence random quantum events in subtle ways, though the results remain controversial and inconclusive. Many studies show no effect, while others report small but statistically significant correlations that could be due to experimental artifacts or statistical fluctuations. This remains an active but highly contested area of research, with the scientific community generally approaching such claims with appropriate skepticism. What seems clear is that consciousness represents something genuinely remarkable in the cosmic story. Through conscious beings like yourself, the universe has developed the capacity to contemplate its own existence, to experience beauty and meaning, to ask questions about the deepest mysteries of reality. This capacity for wonder, for questioning, for the direct experience of being alive and aware, might be among the most significant developments in cosmic evolution. Your individual consciousness participates in this vast collective investigation. Every moment of attention you offer, every experience of wonder or beauty you encounter, every question you ask about the nature of existence contributes to the universe's ongoing attempt to understand itself. You're not just studying reality. In some profound sense, you are reality studying itself through the lens of your particular awareness. This recognition invites a different kind of relationship to the challenges and uncertainties of existence. Instead of seeing mystery as a problem to be solved, you might begin to appreciate it as a creative space where new possibilities can emerge. The questions that once felt isolating, like, why do I exist, or what happens after death, begin to reveal themselves as expressions of the universe's own deep curiosity about its nature. The scientific exploration of consciousness and the contemplative investigation of awareness might be different approaches to the same fundamental inquiry. Both point toward a reality that's far more mysterious, creative, and participatory than our ordinary thinking assumes. The physicist's equations and the mystic's insights might be complementary ways of mapping the same incomprehensible territory. As you sit with these possibilities, you might notice something shifting in your sense of what it means to be alive right now. Whether consciousness is fundamental or emergent, whether it survives the dissolution of the brain or transforms into something beyond individual identity, whether it plays a role in quantum measurement or simply observes the results, one thing remains wonderfully certain. You are here, aware and participating in the greatest mystery ever encountered by conscious beings. This mystery doesn't diminish with scientific discovery. If anything, each new understanding reveals deeper layers of wonder. The more we learn about quantum mechanics, consciousness, and the nature of time, the more extraordinary existence appears. You're not just a collection of particles that happens to have developed the illusion of awareness. Your consciousness embodied, awareness incarnate, the universe knowing itself through your unique perspective. This knowing transforms everything, even as it changes nothing. Your daily experiences remain the same, but they're imbued with a sense of cosmic significance. The cup of coffee you drink, the conversation you have with a friend, the moment of beauty you witness in nature, all of these become expressions of the universe's capacity for conscious experience manifesting through your particular nervous system. The past might still be happening in the eternal structure of space-time, but it's also true that each moment offers fresh opportunities for consciousness to encounter itself in new ways. Your awareness right now is both a product of everything that came before and a creative response to the infinite possibilities that might be constantly emerging from the quantum foundation of existence. Whether time flows like a river or exists as an eternal block, whether consciousness emerges from complexity or interfaces with reality through quantum processes, whether your choices are determined by prior causes or arise from genuine freedom, you remain the experiencer, the witness, the one who asks the questions and marvels at the mystery. This capacity for wonder, for questioning, for the recognition of beauty and meaning connects you to something timeless and universal. Every human who has ever lived has shared this basic capacity for conscious experience, this ability to transform unconscious matter into felt awareness. You're part of an ancient lineage of conscious beings, each contributing their unique thread to the vast tapestry of cosmic awakening. As our exploration draws to its close, I want to leave you with a final invitation. Instead of trying to solve these mysteries or reach definitive conclusions about the nature of time and reality, consider what it might be like to live fully within the questions themselves. To embrace the uncertainty not as a problem but as the very space where genuine discovery becomes possible. The universe doesn't seem to be a finished product with all questions answered and all possibilities exhausted. It appears to be an ongoing creative process, constantly generating new forms, new patterns, new ways of organizing matter and energy into increasingly complex and beautiful arrangements. Consciousness might be the latest chapter in this cosmic story of creativity, but it's unlikely to be the final one. You're living at a remarkable moment in this unfolding story. Through the tools of science and the insights of contemplative practice, humanity has developed unprecedented capacity to explore the deepest questions about existence. We can peer into the quantum realm and contemplate the vastness of cosmic space and time. We can investigate the neural basis of consciousness and explore altered states of awareness through meditation and other practices. This is an extraordinary time to be alive, to be conscious, to be part of the universe's ongoing attempt to understand itself. Your individual awareness participates in this vast collective investigation, contributing something unique and irreplaceable to the cosmic conversation about the nature of existence. The questions we've explored tonight about time and consciousness and quantum reality don't have final answers. Perhaps they never will. But that's not a failure of understanding. It's a recognition that reality might be far more creative and open-ended than any single framework can capture. The mystery isn't something to be eliminated through better theories or more precise measurements. It's something to be lived, explored, and danced with. As you move forward into whatever moments await you, whether they're already determined in some eternal structure of space-time or constantly emerging from quantum possibility, remember that you carry within yourself something remarkable. The capacity to transform unconscious matter into conscious experience, to participate in the universe's attempt to know itself, to contribute your unique perspective to the ongoing story of cosmic awakening. Your existence as a conscious being might be temporary in cosmic terms, but it's also profound beyond measure. Through you, the universe has developed the ability to contemplate its own nature, to experience beauty and meaning, to love and create and wonder about the deepest mysteries of reality. This capacity for conscious experience might be among the most significant achievements of cosmic evolution. Whether consciousness survives the dissolution of individual brains, whether awareness transcends the physical processes that seem to generate it, whether your individual perspective somehow persists beyond biological death, these questions remain beautifully, mysteriously open. What we can say with confidence is that right now, in this moment that might be eternal, you are consciousness embodied, awareness incarnate, the universe knowing itself through your particular way of being present. Take one final breath with me and feel yourself existing at this extraordinary intersection of matter and mind, of cosmic process and conscious experience, of scientific understanding and contemplative wonder. You are simultaneously a temporary pattern in the vast flow of universal change and an eternal participant in the timeless mystery of awareness itself. The past might still be happening somewhere in the infinite dimensions of space-time, but you are here now, contributing your own irreplaceable thread to the ongoing tapestry of existence. Your thoughts, your feelings, your capacity for wonder and love and understanding, all of these emerge from the same cosmic process that gave rise to stars and planets and the intricate web of life on Earth. You are not separate from the universe you're contemplating. You are the universe contemplating itself, consciousness looking into its own infinite depths, awareness recognizing its own eternal nature through the temporary but precious vehicle of your individual existence. And if these explorations into the nature of time, consciousness, and quantum reality have stirred your curiosity about the deeper patterns that govern all existence, you might find yourself wondering about another fundamental mystery that connects every level of reality. From the spin of subatomic particles to the rotation of entire galaxies, from the double helix structure that carries the code of life to the spiral arms of hurricanes that shape our weather, there's a hidden principle at work throughout the cosmos. This universal pattern reveals something profound about the very fabric of existence itself, something that touches every aspect of your life in ways you might never have imagined. The secret lies in understanding why everything spins, the hidden secret of the universe. Until we meet again in that exploration, rest well in the eternal mystery of conscious existence, whatever that existence ultimately is. Right now, as you read these very words, trillions of quantum processes are unfolding within your cells. Each heartbeat, each breath, each flicker of thought involves countless molecular interactions that somehow give rise to your unified experience of being alive. But here's what's truly extraordinary. The same quantum principles that govern these microscopic events in your body might also hold the key to understanding consciousness itself. Some researchers propose that the mysterious bridge between the physical brain and subjective experience occurs at the quantum level, where the classical world of neurons meets the strange realm of quantum superposition. This remains a speculative idea, not a proven scientific fact, but it points towards something profound. The boundary between mind and matter might not be a wall but a doorway, and consciousness might be the universe's way of experiencing itself from the inside. Take a gentle breath and consider this. Every atom in your body was forged in the nuclear furnace of ancient stars. The carbon in your cells, the oxygen in your lungs, the calcium in your bones all emerged from stellar processes that occurred billions of years ago. In a very real sense, you are made of star stuff, but you're also something more. You're star stuff that has awakened to contemplate its own cosmic origins. This awakening, this capacity for self-awareness, represents something genuinely remarkable in the story of cosmic evolution. Through conscious beings like yourself, the universe has developed the ability to reflect on its own nature, to experience wonder and beauty, to ask questions about the deepest mysteries of existence. Your individual consciousness participates in this vast ongoing investigation. But consciousness remains one of the most perplexing puzzles in all of science. We can map the neural correlates of awareness with increasing precision, study the brain processes associated with different mental states, even alter consciousness through various interventions. Yet the hard problem persists. How does the electrical activity in 3 pounds of neural tissue give rise to the rich, subjective experience of being you. This explanatory gap between objective brain states and subjective experience has led some researchers to explore whether quantum mechanics might offer insights into the nature of consciousness. Now, this remains highly controversial territory, with no scientific consensus supporting quantum theories of consciousness. Most neuroscientists argue that the brain operates according to classical physics, with quantum effects playing no significant role in neural processing. But the quantum realm does exhibit some intriguing parallels to conscious experience. Quantum superposition, where particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until measured, bears a curious resemblance to the way consciousness seems to hold multiple possibilities in awareness before focusing on one particular thought or perception. Quantum entanglement, where particles remain mysteriously connected across vast distances, echoes the way conscious attention can seemingly bridge the gap between observer and observed. These parallels don't prove that consciousness operates according to quantum principles, but they do suggest that the relationship between mind and matter might be more subtle and interconnected than our everyday thinking assumes. Perhaps consciousness isn't produced by the brain so much as interfaced with through it, like a radio receiving signals from a deeper level of reality. Now, as you absorb these ideas, notice how they might be shifting something in your own experience of awareness. Right now, your consciousness is transforming the electrical patterns in your neurons into the felt experience of understanding these concepts. This transformation from objective to subjective, from physical process to conscious experience, occurs countless times each moment, yet it remains as mysterious as ever. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that consciousness might play a more fundamental role in reality than our materialistic worldview typically assumes. The measurement problem in quantum physics, where quantum systems seem to require observation to collapse from superposition into definite states, has led some researchers to propose that consciousness itself might be necessary for this transition from potential to actual. This interpretation remains highly speculative and controversial, with many physicists arguing that quantum measurements occur through purely physical processes that don't require conscious observation. But even as a possibility, it raises profound questions about the relationship between mind and cosmos. If consciousness does play any role in quantum measurement, then awareness isn't just passively observing reality. It might be participating in the ongoing process of determining which possibilities become actual. Consider how this might appear in something as simple as the act of meditation. When you sit quietly and focus your attention on your breath, something remarkable occurs in your brain. Neural networks that were previously separate begin to synchronize their activity, creating complex patterns of electrical coherence across different regions of your mind. This synchronization doesn't just register your breathing, it transforms unconscious biological processes into conscious, felt experience. Advanced practitioners often report that sustained meditation can lead to experiences where the boundary between observer and observed begins to dissolve. The sense of being a separate self watching the breath gives way to a more fluid awareness that seems to participate directly in the breathing process itself. While these remain subjective experiences rather than scientific evidence, they point toward possibilities that resonate intriguingly with quantum mechanical descriptions of reality. In quantum field theory, the apparent emptiness of space is actually filled with what physicists call the quantum vacuum, a seething ocean of virtual particles constantly appearing and disappearing according to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Some interpretations suggest that consciousness might somehow interface with this quantum substrate, though this remains purely speculative. The idea isn't that your thoughts directly control quantum events in any magical sense. Rather, it points toward the possibility that awareness might be more fundamental than we typically assume, perhaps representing a basic feature of reality that becomes obvious only when organized in sufficiently complex patterns like the human nervous system. So as we reach the end of this gentle exploration through the mysteries of time and existence, take a moment to feel the weight and lightness of all we've discovered together. We've journeyed from the quantum realm to cosmic scales, from the nature of consciousness to the possibility that the past might still be unfolding somewhere in the vast structure of space-time. Whether time flows like a river or exists as an eternal block, whether consciousness emerges from complexity or interfaces with reality through quantum processes, one thing remains beautifully certain. You are here, aware, participating in the greatest mystery ever encountered. Your capacity for wonder, your ability to contemplate these profound questions, your experience of being conscious in this moment, these might be among the most remarkable achievements in all of cosmic evolution. Rest now in this eternal present, knowing that you carry within yourself something irreplaceable. You are not just observing the universe, you are the universe becoming aware of its own magnificent mystery, contributing your unique thread to the infinite tapestry of existence itself. Unique thread to the infinite tapestry of existence itself.